Hi everybody, I'm Wade Bradford. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about publishing, traditional publishing versus self-publishing. A few people have sent me questions wanting to know my thoughts on it, and I'm not an expert, I just want to say that, but I do think it's pretty simple as far as which path you should take. So I wanted to give you my outline as to how I choose what I'm going to try to publish traditionally and what projects I'm going to try to self-publish and publish them well. So here's the deal. If you have a book that you are proud of and you want it to go out into the world and you're not sure if you should just go directly to Amazon and self-publish it, or maybe do a vanity press or Ingram Spark or whatever you're going to be doing, you don't know if you want to send it out into the world all by yourself, or you don't know if you want to send it to an agent and or a publisher. So how do you decide? Well, basically, think of it this way. Book publishers want to be able to sell books, quite a few books, so that they can make a profit for their business. And agents want to be able to sell books because that's going to be, again, a moneymaker. That will be their livelihood. So look around the bookstore the next time you can go into a bookstore and ask yourself, is my book a kindred spirit with any of these other books on the shelves? Not saying that your book is a knockoff of some other book, but do you feel that your book belongs on the shelf and that it will do well like some of the other books? It doesn't have to be a bestseller, but you deep down feel like, yes, there are hundreds, better yet thousands or tens of thousands of people that are going to want to read and embrace this book that I have made. If you feel that way, then I suggest that the path that you follow is the path of being traditionally published. If you do have a book, if you're right about your instincts and that book does belong on the shelf with the other professional, high-quality books that are doing well, hopefully you will find an agent that will agree with you and say, yes, I see this book up on the shelf as well, let's get it out there. And an editor will read it and say, yes, it's going to be up on the shelves and it's going to be featured on Amazon and people are going to write glowing book reviews. Let's make this book happen. Now, if you feel that your book might be wonderful, hopefully you feel, well, let's assume that you've got a wonderful book that at least you value the book and maybe other people value it as well. So if you have a book that deep down you know that people might care about it, but that number of people might be very small. Maybe it's going to be less than, a couple thousand, or maybe only 100, or maybe just a dozen. If it's a very niche market, or if you feel like you just sort of have a micro audience for this book, then you might want to self-publish the book. Now, that's not to say that by self-publishing the book that it's not going to reach that many people, because it just might. In fact, I hope that it does. There's a lot of books that were self-published or published by friends and family, such as Jane Austen's books, and they became classics. So that might happen with your self-published book. I'm just saying that might be a good avenue for you, because if you feel like, yeah, it's very particular, very unique, or it's very cutting edge and new, and it's strange, and it's going to take a while for people to get attached to this idea, or maybe it's just something where it's like there's just not that many people writing this kind of book, this kind of genre, or this type of experimental piece, then try self-publishing and see what happens going down that path. Most of the time, editors don't get to just look at a book, fall in love with it, and publish it. They look at a book and then they talk with the marketing team and they talk with publishers. There's a chain of command. So there's a lot of people that have to say yes for the book to be traditionally published. So the realm of self-publishing is a great option for you if you feel like, yeah, this is I might have a micro audience, or this is very niche. Then try that. But obviously, the best way to self-publish something is to have high standards, maybe not quite as high as the standards of a publishing company that's going to invest thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars into a project. You might want to invest definitely in getting a good cover artist, and you might, if you don't have the finest editing ability, then it's nice to have somebody that's at least proofreading your work. And if you have to pay for that, you might want to do that if you want to have some level of professionalism. So there it is. In a nutshell, I would say that if your heart and soul feels like the bookshelf of a bookstore is the place where you want to see your work, then you're not going to be satisfied until you get traditionally published. And if you feel like, hey, I want to get my work out there and I want to develop my audience on my own, and maybe I'll get, you know, a larger percentage of the profit and I'll have more control of my work, then try self-publishing. There's nothing that says you can't do both. It kind of depends on who you are as a writer and what kind of brand you are trying to develop. For me, when it comes to my children's books, I have high expectations for them to be wonderful works of art, and I'm not that much of an artist, so I want professionals to take my text and bring it to life with illustrators and graphic designers and bookbinders and things like that. When it comes to my plays, I prefer that my plays are traditionally published. However, there are a few plays that didn't get sold, but I really felt like, yeah, there's a small audience out there for these plays, and so there's a few plays that I've had self-published, and I've enjoyed the self-publishing process for my plays. If you have experience in either world, traditional publishing or self-publishing, I'd love to know what your experience has been, so leave a comment and let's talk about writing.